the President and First Lady of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the President of the Republic of Suriname, Prime Minister of the Republic, and it's nice to say that, of the Republic of Barbados. Dignitaries and officials of the Guyanese, Surinamese, Bajan, and Ghanaian governments, delegates, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have, first of all, Mr. President, to begin by thanking you very much for the affectionate reception that my delegation and I have received here in this brotherly city of Georgetown since our arrival. I extend to you the warmest regards of the Ghanaian people, a nation whose national hero is a person named Kofi, i.e. Kofi, the name of a Friday-born Akan male, clearly has strong historical links with Ghana. This is my second visit to Guyana since becoming President of Ghana, and we have since then witnessed exchanges of high-level visits between the leaders of our two nations, including our respective vice presidents. My presence at the maiden edition of the Guyana International Energy Conference and Expo is a reaffirmation of the importance with which Ghana attaches to her relations with Guyana, and long may they flourish. Indeed, a reflection of the strengthening of the ties of friendship between our two countries was made evident in the warm message of condolence sent by His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ifan Ali to me and the people of Ghana during the recent tragic mining explosion incident that claimed the lives of 13 people, injured scores of persons, and razed an entire community. It is an act of friendship that the Ghanaian people and I appreciate, and we say, Yadase, to wit, thank you very much. I'm happy to be a part of this historic event, as it marks the beginning of what should become an annual event dedicated to providing opportunities for major investors, businesses, and oil and gas industry stakeholders to explore prospects for advancing the development of a collaborative agenda for the oil and gas sector in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Ghana's Ministry of Energy and its oil and gas agencies will also exhibit oil and gas prospects available in Ghana, and I invite all of you to find the time to visit the Ghana stand. Charting a sustainable energy future. The theme of this maiden event is particularly germane, especially as we are confronted with the pandemic of COVID-19, the energy transition, and the effects of climate change. Excellencies, this brings into sharp focus the events of 3 months ago where world leaders gathered in Glasgow, Scotland, in the United Kingdom to attend COP26. It was held to hasten action towards the goals of the Paris Agreement and to the UN framework on climate change, and rightly so. This is because the effects of climate change on the African continent in particular have been catastrophic. We suffer the most in Africa because our economies are highly susceptible to the effects of climate change, and our capacity to withstand its shocks are limited. Agriculture, water, and energy are essential drivers of developments in our countries, but at the same time are characteristically sensitive to changing climate. For the sake of our generation and that of generations yet unborn, we have a solemn duty to take immediate, bold, and concrete steps to protect global climate from warming beyond unbearable limits. We know it is in our own interest to act to salvage the economic fortunes of the continent, and more so, step our collective efforts to fight decisively climate change. We have till 2030 to stop climate change. And this requires us to deal with climate change more aggressively than we have in the past. However, we're faced with a conundrum. The African Development Bank has stated that Africa will need some $3 trillion United States dollars in mitigation and adaptation by 2030 to enable us implement our nationally determined contributions. The obvious question arises as to how do we finance these commitments, especially as our socioeconomic development continues, unfortunately, to be low. The great rivers of the world flow through our continent, and so are the lakes and the dramatic waterfalls. We have breathtaking deserts as well. We have minerals that the rest of the world would kill for. All the minerals that are needed to run modern economies are in our continent. Indeed, 30% of the Earth's remaining minerals are in Africa. We have fertile lands, we have picturesque and captivating landscapes, and useful and interesting plants. And we are still home to what is left of the big animals on our planet. The Almighty has blessed our lands with abundant natural resources, and we believe it would be wholly unfair for the world to demand that Africa abandons the exploitation of these same resources needed to finance her development and help us to cope better with the threat of climate change at a time when many countries on the continent have only just discovered them. The development and industrialization of the wealthy nations of today were also hinged on the exploitation of their natural resources. This development came at the expense of pollution and the emission of greenhouse gases. Even today, the Western world is responsible for 67% of carbon emissions compared to 4% by Africa. We acknowledge the importance and effects of climate change and the urgent need to combat it. And we acknowledge equally the importance of protecting our development. We, however, believe that a balance must be struck and maintained between our social, economic, and environmental imperatives. According to the data, Africa is energy impoverished. The continent's average per capita electricity consumption is some 600 kilowatt hours per year, compared with the world average of 3,200 kilowatt per year. How do we bridge that gap if we're not allowed to exploit the resources we have been blessed with? It is thus of the utmost necessity that countries like Guyana and Ghana find ways of bringing their substantial hydrocarbon resources to production, and quickly too. We must add value to these resources and not export them in their raw form if we are to transition to the status of developed countries. The effective management of these resources will determine whether we make it or not. Excellencies, Ghana is today touted as a model case in Africa in the management of oil and gas resources. Our journey in this regard began in 1896, towards the end of the 19th century, albeit without any significant discoveries. It took us nearly 90 years to establish by law our national oil company, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. The Petroleum Exploration and Production Law came into force a year later, in 1984, and the promulgation of a petroleum income tax law, which established an income tax regime for oil, gas, exploration and production in Ghana 3 years later in 1987. In the immediate years after this, we witnessed several false dawns in the quest to become an oil-producing and exporting country, until June 2007, when under the leadership of my old boss, the second president of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, Ghana announced the discovery of crude oil in commercial quantities. The field, christened Jubilee Fields in commemoration of Ghana's 50th independence anniversary celebration, was brought into production in 40 short months. It was an exciting moment, since the discovery of oil resources offered a unique historic opportunity for Ghana to leverage its newfound oil and gas resources for the development of our economy and to finance priority domestic investments crucial for diversified growth. By the grace of God, many more discoveries have since followed, and Ghana's ability to use these resources for the development of the economy and for enhancing the welfare of citizens remains robust. It is worth noting that some resource-endowed nations in Africa fail to achieve sustainable development from the exploitation of their natural resources. We in Ghana have sought to implement a number of policies and initiatives to change the narrative. These policies are focused on ensuring sustainable growth of the sector through legislative development, employment creation, protection of the environment, revenue and cost management, transparency, diversification of the economy, capacity building, and local content development. We resolved soon after our oil discovery to improve the legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the efficient management of our oil and gas industry. To demonstrate further our commitment to ensuring transparency and accountability, Ghana set up a Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, to deal with challenges relating to transparency and accountability with respect to the use of petroleum revenues. Ghana has also signed up to the Extractive Industry Transparent Initiatives in relation to oil and gas, which requires that we publish revenues from petroleum resources and agree to use these resources efficiently for the benefit of our people. A major challenge we have been confronted with is how to develop the oil and gas industry with optimal local content and participation, enhance national development, and create jobs. We resolved that the involvement of Ghanaians in the exploitation of oil and gas resources could be achieved through mandatory local content in all aspects of petroleum activities. Hence, our local content and local participation policy was adopted in 2010. We've been relatively successful in creating skilled and internationally competitive domestic suppliers through this law. It is important to note that Ghana's local content law is not about nationalization of the petroleum sector or a protectionist initiative, but a vehicle for partnering investors to develop domestic capacity that will bring mutual benefits to the investors and the citizens of the country who own the resources, and thereby ensure social harmony and cohesion. I'm very pleased that Ghana's Ministry of Energy and its petroleum agencies, as well as Guyana's Ministry of Natural Resources, have already commenced technical cooperation in local content development, which has culminated in the passage of Guyana's Local Content Act 2021, Act 18, in December 2021. I congratulate the government of Guyana for its swift action in that direction. I look forward to Ghana's Ministry of Energy and the newly established Local Content Secretariat under Guyana's Ministry of Natural Resources, setting up a joint working relationship which will include exchange programs for technical personnel through internships or secondments for further local content growth in Guyana. And Excellencies, to ensure energy sustainability, it is critical that we balance carefully social, economic, and environmental benefits in a continuously changing world. No energy project, therefore, no matter how high its return on value, is worth it if the interests of some or majority of the stakeholders are not properly represented and they're left impoverished and dissatisfied. In this regard, and on the basis of Ghana's experience, I offer the following suggestions to ensure judicious exploitation and utilization of petroleum resources on a sustainable basis for the overall benefit of all citizens. Effect proper management of oil and gas revenues transparently, and ensure equity for the benefit of all citizens through institutional reforms and transparent regulations through proper legislative guidelines. Secondly, ensure that the petroleum sector remains a significant contributor to budget and to nationwide industrial development in future. Thirdly, lay the basis for continued development of the petroleum sector by ensuring that the Guyanese basin remains an attractive area for investment, value creation, and industrial development in Guyana. Fourthly, pursue ambitious environmental and resource management policies based on the goals of a sustainable petroleum business and coexistence between the petroleum sector, other industries, and environmental considerations. Fifthly, ensure that the petroleum sector becomes a cutting-edge industry with a strong focus on health, safety, and environment at all levels of the industry, and base its operations on a goal of continuous improvement. Sixthly, encourage investments along the oil and gas supply chain through incentivization and practical regulations. Seventh, maximize the benefits of producing wealth from oil and gas by using local resources and services, people, companies, and finance in all facets of the value chain of the oil and gas industry and retaining the benefits within the country. Eighthly, promote capacity building at all levels in the technical, vocation, and tertiary educational institutions of the country. Ninthly, support the strategic exploitation of domestic natural gas discoveries through fiscal incentives and financial support. Tenthly, minimize the flaring or venting of natural gas generated and develop a viable domestic petrochemical industry based on natural gas. 11th, diversify the electricity generation mix through the development of renewable energy sources for which this country has huge potential and promote energy efficiency. And finally, pursue the internationalization of the Guyanese petroleum industry, including regional and bilateral local content initiatives. This will provide the sector with development opportunities while experience from international activities can contribute to continued development of the sector. Excellencies, I believe the time has come for all of us to work together to build stronger nations for the benefit of our peoples. I have a strong belief that this is the century for the continent most blessed with natural resources to become a major league player in the global economy. This can be Africa's century, together with the African diaspora. And Ghana, the first black African nation to break free from colonial rule, wants to be amongst the leading nations in the new struggle for economic emancipation for Africa's 1.2 billion people, and for forging strong, indissoluble links with her descendants, kith and kin, in the African diaspora of the Americas and Caribbean. Mr. President, I indicated at the beginning that our two countries are bonded by common blood, common geography, common history, and common ties. This imposes on us the necessity to work together, with each one being the brother's keeper. Being each other's keeper means that we look out for each other. I'm hopeful that together we can work to build a future in which present and future generations will be secure. May God bless the peoples of Guyana, Ghana, and us all. And may God bless our homelands, Ghana and Guyana, and make them great and strong. I thank you very much for your attention.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Your Excellency President Mohamed Irfaan Ali, and First Lady. President of Ghana, Your Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados, Honorable Mia Mottley, the Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Prime Minister of Guyana, Vice President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Your Excellency Parth Jagdeo, Madam Chancellor of the Judiciary, Speaker of the House, Chairman of ExxonMobil, and distinguished ministers, representative of the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good morning. And I'm very pleased to participate in this important international oil and gas conference dealing with how we create a sustainable energy future in our countries. I thank the President of Guyana, my good friend Irfaan, for inviting me to present to you Suriname's view and perspectives. And just what the Master of Ceremony said, that President Santokhi is Guyanese. I can say the same thing. My colleague friend Irfaan Ali is also Surinamese. It sings perfectly with the spirit in which we both have cemented our relationship since we took office. A strong, committed, and strategic cooperation, building resilient societies and economies as good neighbors. Fostering an economy, but also a society towards a sustainable energy future, keeping in mind the enormous investment needed, the technological skill sets and expertise to be applied, as well as economies of scale and major decisions to be made, requires us to work together. Both Guyana and Suriname are on the path of development towards a sustainable economy that will make the transition from carbon-based energy to green energy. That commitment is there, voiced on many occasions. The question is more, how do we make that transition utilizing the newfound natural resources wisely, utilizing modern technology to lay a solid foundation for a more diversified economy for generations to come. We must realize the challenging times we live in. A part of the pandemic and global financial and development risks, we also face the impact of climate change and now also of looming global instability as a consequence of political conflict. All of this will have an impact on the energy generation demands, flows, and prices. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is not only that we must transition from one energy source to a cleaner and renewable one, but also we must consider how energy itself will transform our lives and our economies as we go forward. I certainly believe that Suriname and Guyana, with these new resources, can help mitigate the global energy poverty, which makes it difficult for almost 1 billion people to develop a productive livelihood. In charting this transition, we must recognize that others have gone before us and had profited from the earned revenues to develop a modern economy and create a future path of economic development where oil and gas may not play such a significant role anymore. These fortunate countries have saved a major part of their revenues to be able to provide for generations to come. We have the same goal and commitment to our current and certainly our future generations. No doubt, we must be responsible in our approach and certainly develop our oil and gas resources in an environmentally friendly and sound manner. Human activities, including fishing, shipping, or the exploitation of marine resources, are rapidly developing. Suriname, therefore, is on a path where better integration and management of human activities in the marine landscape of Suriname will be pursued. Our offshore partners, especially Total Energies and Apache Corporation, have been working tirelessly to come to the final investment decision. We also look forward to the drilling programs of other international oil companies. In 2022, a number of wells are planned in Suriname's Block 58, while Shell will drill an exploration well in Block 42, and Apache Corporation will drill an exploration well in Block 53 as well. Recently, we also concluded a bidding round for Shallow Shore West blocks and negotiated production sharing contracts with renewed international oil companies. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in charting the way forward, a sustainable energy future, we will need to take important and fundamental decisions in the areas of energy reduction and energy education, renewable energy, local content development, and strategic energy cooperation. We will need to empower our people and private sector to go a different route. In my view, in building a sustainable energy future goes with special responsibilities with the population in how they consume and save energy, but also in how to mitigate the harmful impacts of the oil and gas industry. Suriname will dedicate in 2022 budget more resources to educate especially the youth and the private sector on how energy is used in an efficient, sustainable, and responsible manner. Equally, our societies must invest in green energy and promote the use of these renewable energy resources. adoption and installation of renewable energy sources such as from gas, solar, wind, hydro, and others will offer significant benefits to our countries. We are currently collecting data to consider the feasibility of wind energy for Suriname. Villages in the interior of Suriname, which are not connected to the grid, lack energy for household purposes. We have found a sustainable solution for these villages by installing hybrid systems in these villages. Hybrid systems consist of primarily energy generation by solar power generation and a diesel power generation as a backup. But we're looking also at solutions with hydroelectric power, but we still need to research on this as it has strong impact on the environment, the biodiversity, and communities, which we have experienced already with our hydro energy dam. So in this, we need to work together. We need to invest in research and the technology if it is beneficial for our people. That's why the commitment from countries to start investing in new energy generation technologies such as hydrogen and fuel cells is of critical importance. At the same time, those who have provide end users products must invest in utilizing green energy. And while we're making these transitions, our domestic business community must be involved and prepared to benefit from these prospects to secure jobs, income, and operational capacity. Therefore, with regard to local content, we have taken a number of steps. Firstly, we are promoting local content as government. Just 3 days ago, a well-attended seminar to engage with all relevant stakeholders was organized by the government in collaboration with the private sector. Based on these discussions, a local content policy will be formulated, including the creation of a center to promote local content. In the meantime, several initiatives have been undertaken that resulted in the provision of goods, services, and manpower from Suriname. The most prominent initiative so far has been the issuance of an expression of interest for building additional port capacity. The response has been excellent, and we are pleased to note that the 4 expressions considered are to be the most suitable, and all have a major Surinamese partner. At the moment, the government and the private sector together are working on our investment legislation. Secondly, we are developing and upgrading the formal TVET, technical and vocational education and training education in Suriname, amongst others, in cooperation with Dutch institutes that have provided this type of education for many years in the North Sea operations. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, to secure an economy that is sustainable and resilient with growth, we have designed a concept of sustainable development beyond our borders, which basically promotes functional cooperation between the neighboring countries, Guyana and Brazil, in 5 areas: infrastructure, environment, investment, market expansion, and energy. And we are convinced that by pooling our gas resources, we can have a cost-effective energy source to facilitate a regional development process with energy-intensive industrial complexes, utilizing mineral resources in these countries which otherwise would not have been possible. On the 21st of January 2022, the presidents of the neighboring states, Guyana, Brazil, and Suriname, met in Paramaribo for initial discussions about the strategic cooperation framework and follow-up work to develop the agenda, and execution is going on. As responsible leaders, we must look ahead, far ahead indeed, but if we do not start now, we will not only lag behind, but we will waste opportunities. Mr. President, our host, Dr. Irfaan Ali, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, both countries, the leaders and their people have a historic and unique task, a responsibility and obligation to manage the oil and gas resources well. To do so in such a way that sustainable and reliable path forward is set, to create an economy upon which future generations can build and derive a steady income from. To do so in such a way that is done with internationally recognized and accepted environmental standards in place, and to protect the world and remain carbon negative. To do so in such a way that we can successfully facilitate a transition from carbon-based economy towards a green economy with affordable energy. Our objective is to become an 80% green economy by the year 2060, and to chart this vision into reality, a national commission, Vision 2060, will be established next month in Suriname. In making the transition towards this goal, we stand for a holistic and balanced approach that is directed at the needs of both our people and the environment. Your Excellencies, delegation members, we are delighted to be here at this conference, to have given you this information, to have an idea where Suriname stands. But I'm also here with my delegation to learn and discuss synergies. I hope that at the end we are successful in our endeavor to develop our countries based on the strategy of public and private partnership and cooperation. I thank you all, and may God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellency, President Ali, my brother, Mrs. Ali. Your Excellency, President Akufo-Addo, my other brother of Ghana. Your Excellency, President Santokhi of Suriname, my other brother. And I'm looking for my older brother, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, Prime Minister, my dear brother. I see. Older brother. He helped raise me in this thing called public life. Ministers, chairmen, visiting delegates, diplomats, everyone, and MC. Everyone doesn't only want to be from Guyana. Those of you like you come from St. Lucie, Barbados. And there's nothing better than the old Latin saying, res ipsa loquitur, the facts speak for themselves. First, let me express my absolute gratitude to my brother President Ali, and to the government and people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Guyana Oil and Gas Energy Chamber of Commerce for the kind invitation to offer these brief remarks this morning, and to have the opportunity also to be able to meet with my colleague, heads of state and government across this conference. But I want, as we do so this morning, to reflect on a few things. Because today we face not one, but several great challenges: the pandemic, the climate crisis, the energy transition to come, and the technology revolution that is engulfing our world. These threaten the fabric of our societies, and they threaten the future of work. Those on the front line of these battles will look upon this period of time in history as perhaps one of the most challenging, disruptive, and impactful, and certainly since our independence as nations. Of the challenges facing our nations, the climate crisis and the energy transition present both threats and opportunities for our region. We must protect our people against the threats while taking absolute advantage of the opportunities afforded to us over the course of the next few decades. Energy, we all know, is integral to our societies. An abundant and affordable supply of energy is essential for meaningful social and economic activity. And to achieve growth in these activities, governments must actively implement policies that will create and incentivize the sustainable use of energy resources. Recalled in the theme of this inaugural conference, CARICOM countries, Caribbean Community countries, have embarked on a mission to chart a sustainable energy future, to navigate the energy transition. My friends, it is tempting, especially for our brothers and sisters who stand atop spectacular new oil and gas resources, to consider that the energy transition is too far off for us to worry about today. But in alliance with our global partners, many of whom are present today, we must also recognize the need to tilt to new circumstances. As a region, we possess bountiful renewable and non-renewable sources, having, like Africa, been blessed by Mother Nature with the power also of the sun, the wind, the water, the earth, oceans, and nature. But as I said earlier, these blessings have always been accompanied by threats. We are a zone of volcanoes and earthquakes. We are on the front line of the war of the climate crisis between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. And our countries are bang, bang, bang in the middle of it. We are more vulnerable to rising temperatures and sea levels than most others. We are vulnerable to floods, as you know well here in Guyana, hurricanes, tsunamis, and drought. And the energy transition that must occur, if our world is not quite literally to burn up, may well be happening too slowly. But it is a complex conversation, and it is that complex conversation that we must not turn away from. As outlined in our own energy policy in Barbados, we have embarked on an ambitious journey to transition our country to 100% renewable sources and to be a carbon neutral state by 2035. By 2030, 70%. By 2035, 100%. We have one of the densest electric vehicles and charging station networks per capita. There are over 500 electric vehicles on our roads, and remember, we're only 166 square miles. We have one of the region's largest electric fleets of buses, 49 at the moment, with an additional 10 to be purchased. So per capita, we are really ahead of most. We've replaced 88% of all of our street lights across Barbados to LED lights. And we've installed 3.7 megawatts of photovoltaic systems on 22 public buildings and are continuing to move with pace. We've completed ocean energy studies that investigate and establish the feasibility of establishing and developing utility-scale offshore wind and marine power. And we're conscious of the potential for Barbados to generate hydrogen from wave energy and the capacity for export. We're concluding negotiations on a 30-megawatt green energy park based on waste energy and a substantial improvement in the management of our waste. And last year we concluded our integrated resource and resilience plan. We're redoubling our efforts to propel the industry forward with new fast-track regulatory processes, having discovered the bureaucracy that stymied the pace of the approval of renewable energy projects. We've already approved and installed over 59 megawatts of private renewable energy capacity, primarily solar photovoltaic systems, approximately for 9.4% of what we anticipate to be the need of 625 megawatts because of the absence of progress on battery storage. And we are also conscious that there is a need for us to maximize this solar revolution, particularly as that country in CARICOM that led the way on solar water heaters as we went forward as an independent nation. 50 years ago, we started that process to the point where almost every house in Barbados has been powered by solar water heaters for the generation of hot water for over 4 decades. But the solar revolution and the wind revolution is not just about energy. It's also a golden opportunity to advance economic empowerment and people-centric development, that which remains critical on our journey as independent nations. The sun's power is available to all, as is the wind, as is the ocean. And we must never privatize the sun or the wind or the water just for a few. We are using legislation, policy, and the convening power of government with local financial institutions to ensure that every family home in Barbados can, without large capital expenditures, use attractive feed-in tariffs to deliver a steady income for the home ownership, whether it is new home ownership or existing home ownership. I say so because we hope in the next few years to build 10,000 homes, low and lower middle income affordable homes, where persons can purchase solar voltaic panels on their roofs to help them offset the costs and in some instances to de-risk them, making them eligible for mortgages that they would not otherwise be eligible for. Their rooftops give them the hope of being homeowners. And indeed, the name of the program for us is Home Ownership Providing Energy. But to do that only for new homeowners would be unfair. And therefore, we intend to ensure that of the 80,000 households, that the majority of them be also given an opportunity to be able to have the solar panels on their roofs through appropriate financing mechanisms with credit unions and banks, and to allow them to be able to benefit from the bounty. We asked our people to share in the burden of adjustment a few years ago, and we remain obligated that those who share the burden of adjustment must equally share in the bounty that is there to benefit all. Barbados is very keen to share and collaborate with the rest of our Caribbean brothers and sisters in CARICOM to create a global brand in resilience building and planning, renewables and sustainability. And we're conscious that small states like Dominica have already started on that journey, and that as a Caribbean region we need to work together, because more than any other region we are in a position to tell the world about resilience and what resilience means and looks like, and how that brand can be used to unlock opportunities for further development. As we look forward to a sustainable energy future, we also equally understand that there's substantial hydrocarbon resources deep below our seabed. In November 2021, BHP completed a 2,700 square kilometer 3D seismic survey within 2 offshore blocks under the terms of its exploration licenses. These surveys will help Barbados de-risk exploration and hopefully will lead to the discovery of hydrocarbon resources offshore. In particular, we hope natural gas, which we still see as a potential bridge in the energy transition. That is only 2 of the blocks, but we have a number of other blocks that have been there, and were it not for the pandemic, we would have moved forward with greater alacrity to recognize that the transitioning has to be carefully managed. The conversations have to be carefully had. Barbados is therefore looking at ways of accelerating the launch of new offshore oil and gas blocks later this year, recognizing that there is a need for us to be able to make decisions as to what we do. And this has not been an easy discussion, but it is one, like many of you have said, and I've listened carefully to those who have spoken this morning as well, who clearly reflect on the fact that, like with most things in life, we are not a single issue people or a single issue nation. And the complexity of the conversation requires maturity and requires a commitment to frankness. We are people who have been the victims of colonization and exploitation. Regrettably, in the efforts to close the gap, what we have done is to perpetuate the disparity. If we are to remove that disparity and offer to the people of the world the opportunity to live in peace and in hope of bountiful futures, then it requires difficult conversations that do not perpetuate the inequity of the world of 1945. For that is what we have done. When the world determined that the 2 great wars were over and that we needed to secure the future and prosperity and safety of the world's population, they gave everyone the right to be declared equal in the eyes of the law. But equality in the eyes of the law without appropriate reparations or compensatory factors simply perpetuated the inequity. We face a similar moment today with respect to energy stability, security, and development in this transition. And what you hear is not a determination that we should abandon the inconvenient truths. What you hear is a determination that we should talk through the inconvenient truths. Similarly, our world is matched by a failure to appreciate what we mean when we say net zero. We have a climate crisis. There is no 2 ways about it. And we must fight to ensure that that climate crisis does not make migrants of us all. But at the same time, net zero does not mean no fossil fuels. Net zero means that we have to produce enough to offset the impact of the fossil fuels. And to that extent, the mix that the International Energy Association sees at 80% today of fossil fuels to 20% of none flips by 2050 to 20% fossil fuels. The question is, who should provide that 20% fossil fuels? Will the world make the same mistake of 1945? Or will the world accept that equity demands of us now and respect demands of us conversations that allow those whose poverty has been cemented by centuries of extraction and exploitation by a few to catch up with those whose per capita income is multiple times that found in Ghana and Guyana and Suriname and Barbados and others? Or will the world just simply ignore the reality of that disparity and perpetuate a hypocrisy that regrettably has become too familiar with our condition as people across this world. We say that the world needs global, moral, strategic leadership. And I say so conscious that the absence of that leadership means that it is okay for a few advanced countries to continue to provide the 20% that will be needed in 2050, while at the same time refusing to accept the responsibility of financing the consequences of the climate crisis.
In this room today, before I go to the formalities, we are not here to see who is a better batsman or woman, who is a better batter. We're not here to see who is the best. We are here to forge partnership, to build a team to lead for success. And that is the reason we have this conference. Not to separate us, but realizing our responsibility to bring our people together, to bring humanity together. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. His Excellency Chandrika Prasad Santokhi, President of the Republic of Suriname. Her Excellency Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados, otherwise known as Straight 30. Ministers of Government, members of the diplomatic community, Madam Chancellor, Speaker of the National Assembly, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen all, good morning and welcome to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. A land of diversity, a land of peace, a land of love, and a land of opportunity. Welcome to Guyana. I want to especially welcome my colleagues, heads of state. And it is not an occasional visit. It is real partnership, working with Ghana on developing our local content policy, on forging together a relationship that will share our experiences in the management of the oil and gas sector. But importantly, Prime Minister Motley made the point. Shall we today start a movement that is different? A movement among ourselves to promote our ideals and our ideas. For a very long time, we were told what should be our ideals and ideas. It is occasions like these that we can seize that moment and create a new momentum. President Santokhi and I, our two governments and people, are working actively on the development of a new frontier, the quarantine, that requires partnership, coordination, and cooperation. And Prime Minister Mia Motley is leading efforts in the region to achieve food security, is leading efforts to build a resilient regional economy. But more importantly, we are working together with Barbados in removing barriers and bringing our economies and people closer together in unity. And these are not only empty words you will see, and we are not saying here you may see. You will see the results, and the results will be to the benefit of all the people of our countries. I thank all of you for gracing this occasion. I also extend best wishes to the numerous exhibitors, investors, and other stakeholders who have joined us for this most important event. Thanks to the organizers, Mr. Tony White and your team, for your untiring efforts in realizing this grand event, and we owe them a round of applause. Today, I intend to focus on situating Guyana's energy development within the wider context of the country's development trajectory, so that investors and stakeholders can appreciate that our energy plans are consistent and in conformity with our chosen development pathway. Collaboration is always achievable when stakeholders are in harmony. But the question is, why are we here? Why Guyana? An international journalist, and we're having a lot of international journalists becoming experts in Guyana, and we welcome them. We're very welcoming to the media. You're part of our development story. But an international journalist asked me recently, why Guyana, such a country that is so strong on climate change and environment, want to pursue this path of oil and gas? And I asked that journalist a very simple question. Guyana existed long before oil and gas was discovered. Answer me, why has your news outfit never recognized us? The opportunities that we're talking about existed long before oil and gas. Why was there never a conversation? And then tell me, why suddenly? Because a developing country has made a strategic decision that we are going to aggressively pursue the oil and gas sector to bring about economic transformation and diversification to lead to sustainable growth and development. The question, as my dear brother, President of Ghana, posed, and Prime Minister, President Santoki, is why is it always a different conversation when a developing country is advancing a particular course? And we must contemplate this question because it's an important question. But importantly, we are humbled by this opportunity. And we welcome investors. Local content is not about not welcoming investors. We welcome every single investor, be it Exxon, be it the international investors, has every single stakeholder. Whether you're regional, international, we welcome you. But all we are saying is that that space for technological transformation, collaboration, local growth, and competitiveness and increased productivity must be built into the system to bring benefit to the people of the country. So do not, for a moment, try to misplace this conversation. Do not try to recreate your own narrative. We are going to, and this is why we have this conference, we are going to state directly the narrative. There is no need for any interpretation. This is the narrative. We are pursuing this path. We know of the responsibility I'm going to speak about. We welcome investors, but we believe that local opportunities, the private sector, and every single Guyanese and regional stakeholder must be part of this prosperity and benefit from the prosperity. It is true that this energy conference has brought us here. But why are we really here? And I want us all, as all the investors here, to understand why primarily you are in business. You're in business to expand business opportunities. You're in business to invest in new areas, to diversify your portfolio, and to widen your horizon. That is why you're in business. So I want to offer to you, because I have a captive audience here, what Guyana can offer in widening your business portfolio. It is in this context that Guyana's opportunities must be viewed. The multifaceted, wide-ranging development strategy of the country unlocks immeasurable opportunities. These opportunities lay the foundation upon which our future will be built, supported by our geographic location and natural competitive advantages. That development strategy is built on a low-carbon development strategy pathway. We have not changed our commitment to the world. The world faces many challenges, including climate change, food security, energy sustainability, and water scarcity, among others. In each of these areas, Guyana is uniquely positioned to contribute to the global solution. Hear me. We in this region and as developing countries must contribute to the global solution. We have the capacity, we have the capability, and we must now work together to find our place and space in bringing global solutions. Yes, we have a small population. Importantly, a growing population requires much more work from people like me. And the vice president, you have to step up their game. Even the prime minister, Mark Phillips, might need to bat 20 innings and help with this population growth. But importantly, we should not be narrow-minded in looking at the population. Because Guyana is connected to CARICOM. We are connected to Brazil. We are connected to Africa. We are connected to South America. And in each of this connection, we have special arrangements that brings new opportunity and an expanded marketplace. Why Guyana? Because we are a leader, a world leader, on climate change, ecosystems, and biodiversity. We are not only humbled by the opportunity to participate in the oil and gas sector. We are a world leader on climate change, ecosystem, and biodiversity. Guyana presents 18.3 million hectares of standing forests, covering 87% of our land area. I have not seen this headline in any of the international presses yet. But let me remind you, Guyana presents 18.3 million hectares of standing forests, covering 87% of our land area. The forest stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon, worth conservatively, 195 billion United States dollars. The question, as Prime Minister Motley posed, why aren't we realizing this worth? Further, it provides the world with fresh water. It contains 4% of all known plant species in the world. And because of the United States being our strategic partner, I will do this analysis. More bird species than the entire United States of America, and 3% of all known animal species. This is the forest. This is part of the Guyana you are in today. Further, our forest sector has an estimated value of 500 billion United States dollars. This presents tremendous opportunities for value added. But more importantly, Guyana's Monitor, Report, and Verify system, MRVS, is one of the best globally. It is one of the best globally, with a deforestation rate of less than 0.05%. We can sustainably, based on the system that was put in place, the monitoring system, we can sustainably harvest 1 million cubic meters per year. At present, we harvest 400,000 cubic meters, valued at 80 million United States dollars per year. The sector presents opportunities for large-scale downstream processing, prefab houses, prime value-added species for a niche market, partnering on environmental services, reforestation programs, and forest plantation, all linked to new, emerging, and potential markets. Mining. 36% of Guyana, or 76,600 square kilometers, comprise of highly mineralized crusts, the greenstone belts. Gold mine has been at the artisanal mechanized scale, with decoration in a good year at approximately 500,000 ounces. The potential value of our gold reserves at the current rate is approximately 35 billion United States dollars. Our total bauxite reserves of 314 million tons has a potential value close to 1 billion United States dollars. Our quarrying reserves, estimated at 28.9 million tons, valued at approximately 1 billion United States dollars. We have enormous potential in rare earth and base metals. Our diamond reserves are conservatively estimated at 750 million United States dollars. Geochemical exploration is also an opportunity with the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, estimating a 7,000 square kilometers to be an area of commercial viability. Our silica sand reserves are estimated at 1.5 billion tons, valued conservatively at 37.5 billion Guyana dollars. I'm just positioning this so you can understand the Guyana we're sitting in. And this has always been there. We never had the capital or the resources to build the diversified economy that we're talking about. That is why Alex mentioned that we've always spoken about the promises and dreams and aspirations of generations of Guyans. Today, with hard work, simplicity, and humility, we have the ability to make that giant leap not only for Guyana, but for all of humanity, and we must do it. Guyana, with its natural characteristics, presents a potent opportunity for investors in tackling global food security. Opportunities for investment in agriculture are vast. Our freshwater capacity is estimated at 4 billion Guyana dollars per annum. In aquaculture, there is growing potential for shrimp and prawn processing facility, production facility with potential market in the US, Mexico, EU, and CARICOM. The US imports of frozen shrimp and prawns is valued at US $4.8 billion. That is the potential that exists. Our comparative advantage is 2.15 times higher than any South American country's comparative advantage. We have 420 hectares of arable land for poultry, dairy, cattle, and food production. CARICOM import for beef alone is $40.8 million United States dollars per annum. In mutton and mutton products, the value of that market is $18.9 million United States dollars. Just imagine if we tap into 25% of that market. This is the potential for investors. And why am I mentioning all of this at this energy conference? Because this is what energy and the oil and gas sector will do for us. It gives us the opportunity with the resources to diversify our economy, building it out to many new pillars so that we will be resilient, strong, and sustainable. Guyana is poised to offer a diverse tourism product, complementing the products of traditional Caribbean destinations. Guyana is strategically positioned to increase travel to its borders. Its neighbors include Brazil, circa 220 million people, and the Caribbean, 44.2. Guyana will be pursuing aggressively market representation in the UK and EU markets and North America. Those are key source markets which have seen increase in visitors year upon year. We are in discussion with Barbados to twin our tourism product and market Guyana and Barbados jointly. This is how we build competitiveness. This is how we build partnership. This is how we build resilience. This is how we create visionary approach to long-term development, not isolationary policies. That is not the way to go. We hold the potential to engage in adventure tourism products, a market that has globally expanded over the last few years to an estimated value of $1.2 billion United States dollars. Upscale luxury eco lodges and resorts, a market that has a value of $93 billion United States dollars. Golfing, a market with an estimated value of $4.8 billion United States dollars. And Guyana presents not just a opportunity. Guyana presents one of the most competitive and leading opportunity for investment in these areas, and we welcome investors in these areas. Our development strategy is built on a low-carbon pathway. The core objective of this strategy aims at economic sustainability, diversified economy, investment in climate mitigation and adaptation, carbon credit, enhanced livelihood, biodiversity and ecosystem management systems, transitioning into a clean energy future. Our future framework of opportunities are built around solar, water, hydrocarbons, forests, hydrogen, hydropower, and it is integrated into regional opportunities. We are not only talking about national opportunities. With Suriname and Brazil, we are already exploring the development of a new energy corridor that we can fully support and participate. Exxon and Guyana, we are working together on developing that natural gas strategy also, so that with Suriname and Guyana, we can effectively realize the importance of our strategic position in creating regional energy security. We have already commenced the process by investing in 13 new solar farms, 3 mini hydros, 1 large hydro at Amilas Falls, and natural gas project, all aimed at increasing our power generation to 500 megawatts by 2025. Let me be clear on this. We will remain uncompetitive if we cannot address the cost of energy. We must address the cost of energy. Our private sector will not be able to grow if we cannot bring down the cost of energy. And we will bring down the cost of energy by 50% by 2024. And to do that, we must make the strategic investment. And bringing down the cost of energy is not only about bringing in a pipeline or doing a hydro project or building solar energy. That is far from it. Bringing down the cost of energy is about creating the space and opportunity for the development of a world-class manufacturing, industrial, and agro-processing sector. That is how real benefits come to the people. That is how real benefit come to the country. When we can invest and create the opportunity to improve competitiveness and expand business opportunity. And there shall be no turning back from this energy agenda in realizing these opportunities. Our country's extensive coastline, our elevated highlands, our network of waterfalls, rapids and rivers, organic waste from our massive agriculture sector, sugar factories, natural gas and petroleum production, give us the exciting prospect of creating a global energy mix that involves the use of natural gas, solar, wind, hydro, and every other form of renewable source. Are we going to pursue it? Believe it, as I say to you today, it is utmost priority on the agenda of the government of Guyana. You don't need to second guess us. You don't need to read between the lines. No, you don't need to do that. We are telling you as straight as it can be the path we are pursuing, because it is a path that must bring prosperity as quickly as possible to our people, so that even an aging Alex can be a part of that prosperity as quickly as possible. So it's not only about the future, Alex, it's accelerating development so that you can enjoy it too.
Thank you.
The combination of which can be a solution to sustainable energy production along the Guyana Shield with our immediate neighbor Brazil. We already recognize that the path we are pursuing will bring excessive energy. So we are already in talks with our neighbors to develop a pathway in which energy would become, and this is a mix that includes renewable energy, a major export earner for our countries. And this is a path that we're not deviating from. Locally, we have committed to reducing our dependency on fossil fuel by 70% by the year 2027 and 90% by the year 2030. We are not shying away from our global responsibility. We have made these commitments and we intend to keep them. While Guyana, therefore, is now an oil-producing state, our focus is fueled primarily by long-term sources of energy. Our development trajectory attempts to strike a balance between rapid economic development and the preservation and protection of our environment. Guyana is also bolstering growth with human development. Nothing is possible without understanding the importance of human development. Our development trajectory prioritizes people-centered development. We aspire to Guyana, which is free, prosperous, socially just, globally competitive, and which serves every citizen equitably. Guyanese must be afforded a good education, decent work, be able to start their own businesses, raise and provide for a family, own their own homes, live in a safe and secure environment, and retire with dignity. Yes, Alex, retire with dignity. Every Guyanese must have access to comprehensive and quality health care. And beginning this year, you will see that we are rolling out an aggressive agenda in achieving these. Clean water, be able to participate in sport and recreation, and freely practice their religion and culture. These are fundamental values that shape us as a nation and will never change. We must remain true to these and humble to our existence. I want to assure our regional partners that when I speak about Guyanese, I'm speaking about all of us. We are all together in this. And when we build a world-class healthcare and a world-class education system and a world-class training institute, it is for all of us in the region, and we have already commenced those discussions. Our development trajectory is being recalibrated towards increasing natural wealth building, creating economic resilience, expanding opportunities relating to the economy, enhancing social services, and investing in our people. Our national wealth will not stem exclusively from oil and gas. We'll invest in strengthening our competitiveness in existing sectors and creating the environment for new and emerging sectors. The wealth from oil and gas will be used to achieve these objectives and broaden the economic platform that drives current and future growth of our country. In this regard, agriculture, mining, forestry, fisheries, aquaculture, information communication technology, manufacturing, tourism, education, and health services are key sectors of focus. And this is how the resources will be used. I promise you this morning that I will not in no way compete with the record of the Minister of Finance on a 5-hour budget speech presentation. Critical to the achievement of competitiveness is a focus on a highly trained human resources. And this is a centerpiece of our development. We must provide our human resources with the best possible training through access, affordability, and equity. And we're investing to do this beginning this year. With our strategic partners, together we are building out this capacity in giving the private sector and every Guyanese the training to actively participate in the future development of our country. To support the expansion and open access to land for industry and manufacturing, a transformative and ambitious infrastructure plan is being implemented. We have commenced the development of mega projects in housing, road transport and bridges, healthcare, education, and river transport. Let me be very clear one more time. We are welcoming capital, but the capital must come at the right price. So I'm giving an open invitation like we did before. Once the capital is below at least 2.5% APR, are we going lower now? We are negotiating very competitively. So you'll have to come with good rates and fixed storm rates. So don't second guess us. Don't say you never had the opportunity. It's open door policy. We are welcoming capital. Don't complain if you don't make use of the opportunity. We have committed ourselves to transparent governance. We are part of the EITI system. We have passed legislation for a natural resource fund. We have criminalized non-disclosure. If the Minister of Finance does not disclose the finances from oil and gas within a particular time, 3 months, then he can be convicted and sent behind bars for 10 years. And knowing Ashley Singh, he ain't going there. So, we are building in these transparency measures. We are making it simple for every Guyanese in the world to understand how the money is being spent. No complicated macroeconomic formula, Professor Avinash. Very simple calculation. Every Guyanese must be able to calculate for themselves the money that is coming in and how it is being used. Simplicity of policy is successful policy. Policy making 101, right, Prime Minister Mia? But some of us believe complexity. Complexity in policy making is a defense mechanism. When the people can't understand what you're doing, then what really are you doing? The investments are geared at boosting productivity, improving connections with our communities and people, catalyzing the opportunities, and ultimately generate tens of thousands of jobs that are sustainable. The opportunities in shore-based facilities, Deepwater Harbor, a road link to Brazil, connecting Guyana Suriname by bridging the Quarantine River, are all actively being pursued through a partnership between countries and the private sector. To reduce the difficulties many of you experience in finding rooms, and please, outside of State House is now the finding room destination. A lot of persons were rapping on our doors to find rooms. To reduce the difficulties many of you experience in finding rooms, we are currently supporting initiatives that will see at least 6 new international branded hotels in the short to medium term. Prime Minister Motley has also offered to put on special flights next time to connect Guyana and Barbados within the hour to support large-scale activities. In supporting a modern architecture, we are also pursuing legislation to support the hemp industry. Very open again. Don't second guess us. The establishment of a special development authority, the establishment of a special development zone for tax concessions, and the development of a duty-free zone. Special incentives given to the migration of businesses to Guyana, targeting health, education, knowledge-based sector, agrochemical, fertilizer, new innovative products, and other facilities that will drive future demand and growth. While we pursue these large initiatives, we are also supporting through public-private partnership our local entrepreneurs, building their capacity and shortening their learning curve to be part of this new era of opportunities. A matrix governance system is targeted for implementation to reduce bureaucracy, eliminate red tape, and create more direct access, enhance transparency, creating a single window permitting system, e-governance, and a more digital mode of operation, and to strengthen institutions and people-centered service delivery system. To achieve this, focus will be on investing in our people, giving them the best possible education with free university education, and the best possible health care, with the state ensuring second to none primary health care services. Emphasis will be placed on equitable growth and shared prosperity. We'll invest to ensure that all Guyana and our regional partners grow together with the rising tides. National unity and political stability are built on our one Guyana that celebrates our multicultural character and focuses on the respect for diversity, rule of law, democracy, social harmony, building trust, national prosperity, and singularity of vision as a people. The democratic and prosperous Guyana, with equal opportunities, will not be constructed on the edifice of propaganda, misconceived perceptions, wishful thinking, arrogance, or political crassness. The One Guyana will emerge through hard work, people-centered politics, visionary thinking, a free-thinking society, and most of all, a humble country and humble people. Oil or nothing must change us. The character that builds us as a people must remain intact from generation to generation. Humble people, that is who we are. This is the pathway which we have chosen and from which we shall not divert. Using construction terms, we are building Guyana on a mat foundation, fully integrated and networked, with even distribution of weight instead of individual footing, which is isolated. And closer to most of you, in oil and gas terms, think about integrity management programs, Chairman of Exxon. In the context of the life cycle of one project, in our case, it is systemic and covers the life cycle of an entire country and its people. Our oil and gas potential is no longer an unwritten story. Crude oil reserves, which are currently estimated at 126.81 thousand barrels per day, have been ranked 17th in the world and 3rd in Latin America and the Caribbean region. Increased production of our medium sweet crude with low sulfur content has the potential of bolstering government revenues to projected $10 billion annually by the end of the decade. In recent development, the government welcomed the positive news announced by CGX, that is, that they struck oil at Kawa-1 in the quarantine block. While we await the CGX end of well forecast, we are expecting favorable outcome based on the advice and the press release of CGX. Less than 1 week ago, the Liza Unity FPSO commenced its commercial production with Force Oil, and I take this opportunity to congratulate all those who are associated with that. The consortium is on target to produce 560,000 barrels daily. By the end of 2026, our production, Guyana's oil production, will be approximately 850,000 barrels per day, which will make this economy a significant world supplier of crude over the next few years. The Guyanese economy is expected to strengthen with sustainable macroeconomic development. The macroeconomic fundamentals of real growth, inflation, as well as fiscal and external balances are projected to improve significantly. And I have an entire section on the economy. I would want to save you from that section, but of course we are open for you if you want to listen. This, together with lower imports, are projected to sustain the balance of payments surplus and contribute to higher international reserves, forecasted at $2.7 billion in 2025. The stability of exchange rate will be further improved. Our focus is building a stronger Guyana, fully integrated with aspirations of our regional partners. Guyana's prosperity is linked to our region's prosperity. And this is why I'm particularly pleased with my colleagues here today. Indeed, it is our shared vision and common approach that will ensure all our people benefit from the prosperity any one of us realize. I thank you and God bless you. Have a great conference.